Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for a very special review. The 50th anniversary of Doctor Who started 50 years ago, 1963. Here we are, half a century later. The show is still going on in continuity. Even though we had a semi-relaunch and such back in 2005, yes, but even that is still it's a continuation, and this show kind of, I think, connects the two a bit better. But we have a continuity. I can't think of any other show that has this, that has a 50-year, truly 50 years of history. Of course, that makes Doctor Who canon a complete mess, and we'll get into a little bit of that. But it's still such a fun show, and it's got that attitude and tone about it that lets you excuse that. Plus, the show kind of outright says, paradoxes kind of just resolve themselves. I'll get into all that in a second. I have done a couple of Doctor Who reviews in the past, but I probably, based on this, you wouldn't think I like Doctor Who as much as I do. Although it is mainly restricted to the New Who, as it's kind of called. The series that kind of, the relaunch, or the restart of the series. I shouldn't say, do I want to call it it's kind of hard to describe, because normally when you say relaunch or restart, they kind of mean a remake. Or they mean kind of a sequel series, but because of the nature of the show, it really just feels like it's a continuation. It just was like a 10-year, 15-year gap there. I forget how long was that gap. Yeah, it's been 15 years if you ignore the 1996 movie, which apparently is in continuity, not the Eric Roberts one. I forget if that one's not in continuity or not. Whatever. There's nothing else out there that has this type of style. It's very unique to itself and indicative of what the show is. The time travel aspect, all of time and space. Quite literally, that's what the show looks at. You can be on Earth in ancient Rome, on an alien planet, on a future human colony somewhere, and stuff in between. Especially when you're off Earth, you're not dealing with humans, you're never quite sure. Are you in the past? Yeah, you're on an advanced alien planet, but it could technically be like 10,000 years in Earth's past as well. So it's very fun, and it's also quirky. Now, if you're wondering why I'm just doing this now, it is because I went to the Phantom Events showing of the Day of the Doctor, which premiered today on the 25th. The show itself here in the States premiered on the 23rd on BBC America, which I watched. Actually, when I bought the tickets for the Phantom event, I assumed it was going to be like a simulcast when they're showing it on TV. They were going to be showing it on they would be shown in the theater. I was wrong. I am kind of perplexed why they did this, outside of the fact that if you're in the theater, you don't have commercial breaks, so technically those people would be out a half hour. Or they would know the end of the movie about a half hour before anyone else would. Even though they did a good job of putting in additional stuff at the end, a little featurette at the end of the episode, to help pad the time out a little bit. I wonder if that was the original intention for doing that little special thing. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I thought when I bought the tickets, and I looked at the date, and at least this was 3D. And I guess to kind of get that out of the way, this is the theater that I don't think does the 3D good. They don't it looks a little off. It was nice to see at the beginning, but after like the first 10 minutes, you really stop noticing any 3D at all. I mean, you're not. I would have paid for this to be a 2D screening, but then I guess they could have only charged $13 instead of my $15 I paid. So 3D, the 3D, if it was there later on, my eyes apparently adjusted for it, and I really didn't notice it. It was obviously a post conversion. They're not banking anything big on this being in 3D. So yeah, there's you went to see this in 3D and to be with a lot of Doctor Who fans, and this being, of course, New Jersey, one of the most densely populated states in the United States. You actually had a lot of Doctor Who fans. I did not know that many people at the Jersey Shore owned a Fez, but they were everywhere. Yeah, a lot of people went there cosplayed, dressed up, or if they weren't directly dressed up as a doctor, they were wearing something that looked vaguely Doctor Who-ish. Yeah, a lot of people wore scarves. A lot of people wore some sort of like coat or something. Even though it wasn't like directly from the Doctor, it's like something you would see if you were, playing a character that was supposed to be the Doctor, like something you'd wear. So it was fun. It was good to see it with this audience. Always that got the jokes, got the in-jokes for the series. It's definitely an experience worth watching. And normally if you're going to one of these, it's not like this was a huge, all-over-the-place event. It was, supposedly select theaters. Actually, apparently this got so popular they had to add additional theaters to it. I don't know how widespread this was to catch this in the theater. It's no, I think they have like 2 showings. There's a 7:30 and it was an 8:30 showing, and that's it. I'm not sure how widespread. Where I am, we're I guess considered a big enough area, and our theater is large enough that we carry stuff that is normally limited. We're in that range where certain movies that are in that, I forget what the technical definition is, limited, but we're one of those theaters that gets limited releases. Hence why if you look back in some of the previous reviews, I've done like The Raid, which wasn't released everywhere, especially if you're in a small area. And The Iceman, another movie that was not released all over the place. We're nice in that regards. Weather's a different story. Well, weather for this part of the year is a different story. Summertime, I love the shore. Anyway, as for the actual 50th anniversary, I gotta admit I am slightly disappointed. Not exactly what I would do, and also slightly disappointed with how it revamped a bit of what was going on. By the way, some major spoilers coming that way if you haven't seen it yet. Spoilers! With some complaints about who they included, who they didn't include. Not quite what I was expecting. I don't know. This just doesn't feel epic enough to be like the 50th. I think is my problem. When I had that episode, the main gist is it's what's now come to be known as the War Doctor, John Hurt's Doctor here. It's the moment where he's going to destroy Gallifrey, and it's the device that destroys it has a consciousness. It's so advanced of a device, it actually has its own AI, has gained sentience and judges you, and kind of judges whether you're really worthy to live or die, use this, live or die, whatever, and it kind of actively persuades you before using it. And of course it comes in the form of Rose Tyler, although Bad Wolf Rose Tyler. So she's not actually playing Rose in this, which is it's good and bad. I did like that they kind of brought her back, but not really brought her back. I don't know. Rose, I'm not a Rose fan, and I think a lot of the fan base isn't a Rose, but I do acknowledge her importance for the series. She was a major companion. She stuck around for a while, and she was kind of with the end of the Tennant run. They really did have a lot where they included a lot of the crossovers with the previous companions. So you didn't get Doctor crossovers, but you did get previous companion crossovers. So You can hear me typing. Sorry, just queuing up a little something on there. So I don't mind Billie Piper being on there, but I wanted to see more. Maybe a couple of the other companions from previous years. Like, you kind of get what I'm going with that. It would have been nice if they filled certain roles with other older companions popping up, like they had done with Sarah Jane at one point. They could have really done that. Now, I will admit, and I've said this outright in my previous reviews, I haven't done pre-New New Who that much. I haven't watched too many. I've caught a few of the episodes on BBC, especially when they're re-showing them. You know, it's harder to get into those because of the time change. You know, it's not time change, but they're made in a different era, so it's, you know, it does have that aspect. Although certainly the ones in the 80s where I enjoyed a little bit more, and some of that might be also the nature of the storytelling. It seems a little bit more contextual, a couple of the plots, to what else was going on. I don't know. But I don't hate them. And, you know, maybe if I, like, wind up getting the series or something on DVD, like one of the later ones, like a Sylvester McCoy era one, and watch through it, I probably will enjoy them. But it would have, like I said, it would have been nice if you worked way into getting companions from those. I have a feeling, to some degree, they kind of waited a little late to actually get this all done and set and written. I really get that impression. And I mentioned afterwards they showed a little documentary after the movie was over. And in it, John Hurt actually says he had almost like no prep time for taking on the role. It was like super fast. And I think that might be indicative of that, where they can only get a few people. Like, they got Smith, they got Tennant down, they got Billie Piper, and who's it? Jenna Coleman, who plays Clara. The current guys, and I don't question her, since it's the current cast. You need to keep those guys in there. But you show some older ones coming back. I mean, yeah, we had Rose in some sort of way. They could have worked in other characters. Like I said, like they had done with Sarah Jane. So, yeah, bring us some more of those type of guys. Just whatever, showing them in the modern day, what they're doing, having even a quick little cameo of the Doctor running around. Something along those lines. You could have had Sylvester McCoy in here, too. That would have been nice. Outside of the archive footage that he used and kind of re-edited to make it seem like he was doing something, helping out the other doctors. That's all I'm saying. Although it was nice to see Colin Baker. Not Colin Baker. Colin Baker, though, did... how should I put it? He was the narrator of the documentary. Sorry. Tom Baker, though, does show up in the end, and I guess I'll have to talk about him separately. But, not all these guys are dead. Colin Baker, not Colin, again, sorry, Tom Baker, Sylvester McCoy, that's who I wanted to talk about. Sylvester McCoy, I've seen him, he's still rather spry. I saw him in The Hobbit, he's looking alright, and with a little makeup, he can still buy as the Doctor. The older Doctor, yeah. And I don't think, I mean, unless they're counting that, like, attempt at American Doctor Who, you don't know how old he got in that form. Am I right? I think so. Before he regenerated. They could have at least gotten him in there somehow. Now, granted, for the plot reasons, again, it's supposed to be about the John Hurt Doctor deciding the destruction of Gallifrey, which is something I like. It gave that Doctor, that reveal, the Doctor a big sense of guilt, and really helps justify his need and why he fights so hard to save people. Because he's done that bad decision. He's made that decision others shouldn't, and the way they ended it with kind of getting out of that, where he really didn't do that. What he did was he saved Gallifrey by freezing it in time, and the Daleks destroy each other. That I'm not so happy with. I'm not happy with that ending. I would have been happier with them. I kind of wonder if they shot this in two different ways, where Tennant and Smith's 10 and 11 show up, and they're going to push it with him. They're going to give him the support to do the final act, kind of in recollection, like, okay, in this case you made the right move. And I would have supported that, the idea that that was acceptable. And it kind of looked like it was set up okay. He kind of showed it where Hurt's character, the Vice, tries to show the War Doctor his future, and he kind of comes to the realization that on a personal level, this will make him better, because what he does is this horrible act motivates him to save so much more, that it's for him worth doing. But then they get out of it with kind of realizing, oh, wait a minute, since Smith's character has been thinking on this moment for so long, he's kind of now that I have the opportunity to prevent Gallifrey from being destroyed, they're going to pull this little move, which you get all the little cameos that are normally archive footage, although it was nice when they go, oh my god, all 12 of them are doing this, and they go, no, 13, and they have this quick cut of the 12th Doctor. You don't see his full face, but you do see like the eyes of Peter Capaldi staring evilly, which is making me think he's going to be the pissed Doctor, which I'm going to be extremely happy. I know he said it's not Malcolm Tucker as the Doctor, but come on. I want to see that. He doesn't have to go full-fledged, but I do want like the pissed Doctor. The Doctor that's got a little bit more of an edge to him. A little bit more of an adult Doctor, maybe. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I'll get into that in a little bit. But, that was a nice little setup, and that they know that's coming, so they establish it. They get him in there ahead of time, so even he's part of the 50th. And so they did it. Again, I would have liked it if it was something... I forget what the name of the episode is, but the one finale where the Daleks are going to end time, and they abducted all these planets in order to do this. And you see there's that real sense of the universe is truly all of time and space is under threat. I don't know. That could have, I think, worked a little bit better. Again, this also would have worked a lot better if Christopher Eccleston had came back. Again, you don't know the background stuff. He did leave after one season. Apparently there was some bad blood there. I mean, come on, man. You could have came back for one appearance into some form. Not even. I think they actually changed this a couple times to try to get him. I think originally this was written that Christopher Eccleston's Doctor was going to be the War Doctor. And I guess they probably would have had it reworked that he, I guarantee this is how it probably originally was going to be, was he was going to be newly regenerated into the the 9th Doctor, which explains how he kind of in the first episode didn't seem to be too aware of his own body. And that's where, if that was originally the plan, then you really could have gotten Sylvester McCoy in there. Show him die, he comes back, and he gets, whenever he regenerates, he kind of gets the determination there and then to wipe out the Time Lords and the Daleks. And that would have worked nice. And I have a feeling that was their original plan, and they worked a lot on negotiating that, and eventually said no. And then I think they wanted to do a new. So they reworked in the script again, where the War Doctor regenerates. Because maybe he said, yeah, this that's nice, but I can't. My schedule is full. I can't shoot a film. So they might have probably went, okay, well, we'll get you we're ready for a cameo. And apparently, because they do show the War Doctor at the end regenerating, and you kind of see a slow reveal in Eccleston's face. And I have a feeling originally that was probably written with a little bit more extensiveness, where they were going to show him kind of pop out, and that would have been the start of the new season, or the new series. And then he said no to that too, so it's only archive footage that they kind of re-edit. And I don't know what the background stuff is. I mean, you had a different producer here, a different writer. So I don't know why he just didn't want to come back. I mean, come on, man. Come on. He's a good actor too, and I think this would have really been different, and probably a lot of fun to see all those three together. But again, like I said, it would have been nice if they had done more to show all of them, all the Doctors working together in some sort of big arch plot. And they had to have the technology. I would have even allowed, like they did, I think when they had the 10 Doctors movie, where the Doctors that were dead, they literally just cast actors that looked like them. And at least with the first Doctor, I could have easily bought that, because they had, I think it was Walter Frey, I believe, or the actor that plays him. They did a movie about making the first Doctor Who, and they premiered it, I think, last weekend or something like that on BBC. And of course, they cast an actor to play the actor that played Doctor Who, and he did a fine enough job. He actually does look a lot like him, so I would have even accepted that. And like I said, they've done that before in the 10 Doctors. Just because it feels, I mean, obviously for New Who this is big, but at the same time it kind of reverts. It means he doesn't actually destroy Gallifrey. He's going to search for it. And I like that, again, I like that edge about the Doctor, that he did make that ultimate sacrifice, and that's why he now always searches. He's not willing to make that acceptance anymore. So I'm kind of disappointed, though I'm still not completely sad. Again, this is like, it's only bad. I only don't like that because it's the 50th. If this was just like a special, that aspect of not having enough Doctors in there, I wouldn't have minded. If this had been an anniversary of the New Who, I certainly wouldn't have minded, but I don't know. Something holding me back from this. From appreciating it's the 50th. Yeah. But hey, stuffy stuff. And then, because you also have to worry about, wait a minute. If you find it, isn't Rassilon and the Time Lord High Council, which has gone completely bonkers, you're going to unleash them then if you find Gallifrey? Although, if that means they're going to have a new confrontation between Timothy Dalton and whoever the new Doctor is, whoever's the Doctor that finds him, that might be okay to show something. But I think that's going to dramatically, though, change the show when he finds it. Because if he finds them and there's other Time Lords, then it kind of changes what New Who has been. And like that bit, yeah, it's a show you can change a lot, but it's one of those basic fundamental premises. I don't know. We'll see how they work it. Perhaps they'll have it to where the Time Lords, because there's a difference between people from Gallifrey and the Time Lords themselves. Not everyone from Gallifrey is a Time Lord. So maybe they'll pull something like the Time Lords themselves still get destroyed when he finds Gallifrey, but the citizens and civilization survive. Maybe they might pull something like that off. So that's my opinion of the Day of the Doctor. I did like John Hurt's performance. Some of the things I've seen fans complain about compared to the new Who and the old Who, he seemed to like point out like the use of the screwdriver and stuff apparently wasn't as big in the older episodes. So him kind of going, why are you pointing that? What are you gonna do? Build a cabinet at them? And kind of making fun of them for acting like children and stuff like that. It was nice to see. Some people, though, I did read online complaining about the Time War itself. The scenes where it was nice enough to see. Granted, I mean, they built up the Time War being apparently something bigger. I mean, I think that's like you're only seeing the temporal, physical battle. I think what's supposedly going on during that Time War is that's only like the present, like in that instant that they're fighting. They're also fighting in time and space and other places. It's kind of hard to visualize, but I think that's the ideal. It's like the attack on Gallifrey starts a chain reaction everywhere else in time and space where they're constantly trying to then subvert one another. Anyway, if you watch the TV series or on TV, you also got a preview for the next to Christmas special, which will be Matt Smith's final regular appearance. Who knows? Yeah, he might pop back again. But I kind of hope they do this every now and again. Have an older Doctor or either Tennant or Smith pop up for a crossover every now and then. Would be nice. But that's apparently going to be his final. He's going to get the Trenzalore. Oh wait, the other thing I should have talked about before I get into that was the other people I would have really missed. Captain Jack would have been nice for him to show up. They do at least mention him, and at least he had the mention. At least he had the name drop. But it would have been nice for him. And as much as people loathe him, River Song, because I think she's gonna, as someone that's a reoccurring character, I think we still got her for a couple more years. I have a feeling Capaldi's the 12th Doctor is going to be involved with her, and I think there's going to be a lot of now him teaching her. We're going to get to those points now where he's going to be, I don't know, showing her the ropes, unless they address that in this one, unless they address that in the Trenzalore episode. I agree. She's somewhat overdone. I kind of agree too, but she's now so ingrained. I think they need to run the River Song story out a bit. Okay, we've established it. We know the end point. And I think we've seen her high. And if they don't kind of end River Song in the Trenzalore one, have some of Capaldi's stuff be bringing her along as her, like, as a younger student and teaching and all that stuff, so that she eventually so it's over and done with. But I'll get into that in a second. So those are two characters I think should have probably popped up. I would have said Sarah Jane as well, but unfortunately the actors have played her past. So anyway, now we'll move on to what I was saying with the episode where they're finally going to go to Trenzalore. Of course, this is one of those things that they had laid out early on with, I forget the name of the character, the fat blue guy, kind of saying the stuff that was ahead of them. The fields of Trenzalore in the fall of the 11th. It's established he died, and this is what I think is kind of interesting. Because at first I thought the Trenzalore thing was just going to be one of those they'll permanently leave off, and it's just going to be it's established when the Doctor does die, it'll be at Trenzalore. Of course, that does kind of remove tension, even though you kind of always know the Doctor is going to survive every episode. He might regenerate, but he'll survive. you were kind of expecting to be further out or whatever. But no, it looks like they're going with it. And here's the interesting thing. Apparently, with the lore, is Time Lords only have 12 regenerations. And when you include now the War Doctor, he's then had the Time Lord has had his 12 regenerations. So, how is that going to work? So it might be, I think they're going to pull some sort of really weird thing where he does die and hence he leaves that kind of like time vortex grave. But I think they'll also have it to where he's, how should I put this? Maybe they'll pull in the Gallifrey thing and like, oh, you Trenzalore in some way makes him find Gallifrey, and they see the sacrifice, and they use their technology to somehow bring him back and kind of restart it or something. That would probably be the explanation. That there's something extraordinary that goes on there, and then you have the Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, come on in. That might be what they're going with. That it'll be interesting. It'll be sad to see Matt Smith go. I was kind of hoping he would stay around for a while. Tennant, I think, was it the second longest run as the Doctor? I would have liked it if he had stayed on for a couple more seasons just to make him the longest. I was hoping that we were reading longer runs as the Doctor here, but alas, not the case. I was hoping, especially Smith being so young, that he would keep the role for a while. But I am looking forward to the fact that they're going to finally now have an older Doctor here, something we haven't seen in a while. So looking forward to that. Not much else to say. Quick site news reference. I know I had promised to put the Korra stuff up. Stuff came up, and I hadn't gotten a chance to do that until I recorded this video. I'm going to still try to do that. It's going to probably be a season retrospective, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm committed to doing that just because of how important Avatar has been to this channel. I'm still kind of working out with the new OS, and I honestly have to say, for what I used to do, the older version of Windows Movie Maker was a lot better and easier to use. I mean, there might be, I don't know, maybe in the new Maker I'd have to play around a bit. There's an easy way, but for me, this, when I drop in a picture and I just expand it out to the audio, it worked perfect because I could start with the audio, which is key in this case. I don't know who designed this particular version. I don't know. It might be different on 8. But I will say this. I do not like Windows 7's Movie Maker. Because it always... I really don't know what they were thinking. I still gotta play with it. Maybe I can maybe there's a way to make it simplified. But the default stuff with working with audio, it's a pain because it assumes that the video is more important than the audio, and if you're using this and you want to like have a song and you're going to put pictures or whatever with that, the audio is more important than the song, but it assumes the opposite. I don't know. Just giving my 2 cents in there. So stay tuned for more stuff. If you like the review, please like, share, comment if you can. If you're putting comments and I do not respond, don't be offended. I'm still trying to work at... I don't know what YouTube and Google were thinking with this new design, where even I can't really easily look and check comments anymore in an inbox. Apparently the inbox still exists somewhere. But I digress. So, please do all that. Signing off for now, guys. Happy anniversary, Doctor Who.